The new beta update brought a really big change to Ragefire, and today we're going to talk about it. Before we begin, I just said a lot of my viewers aren't subscribed. We are pushing up towards 900 and 1,000 subscribers, so any subscription to my channel really helps out, and I really appreciate all of it. If you enjoy the content, subscribe. If you like WoW stuff or Demon Hunter stuff or just DPS, World of Warcraft content in general, just consider subscribing. I have a ton of stuff planned in the future, and I really appreciate all the support. Now, enjoy the video. Ragefire changes. So a lot of us have been talking about Ragefire. I made a video on it a while back. Check that out. It's a video going over why I think Ragefire could be problematic. So in the most recent build, they went in and they kind of changed it a little bit to make it less problematic in those big uncapped scenarios. However, the tooltip is so confusing. It is not clear at all what Ragefire does now. Of course, we know what it does, right? We can test it and we know we have like a knowledge of what it actually does. But reading the tooltip, you'd have no idea what it does. So we're going over the different changes to Ragefire today. We're talking about where it's changed and why really I think this change doesn't impact 99% of the player base, especially for the first little bit in Dragonflight. And we'll talk about a few other things as well. So first off, Ragefire, for those of you uninitiated, if you don't know, I don't know where you've been for the past little while, Ragefire is a talent. Each time Immolation Aura deals damage, 50% of that damage dealt was stored in Ragefire, and then when Immolation Aura ended, it kind of released it. That was the old version. Now the talent reads, each time Immolation Aura deals damage, 50% of the damage dealt by up to 3 critical strikes is gathered as Ragefire. When Immolation Aura expires, you explode, dealing all stored Ragefire damage to nearby enemies. So before, basically, if I went over to these two mobs here, and I just popped Immolation Aura, any crits would kind of be stored inside Ragefire here, and stack up this buff, and then whenever my Immolation Aura buff would expire, this pool would kind of explode and deal this much damage to all enemies around me. So we'll wait, and boom, I just did damage to everything around me. You can see I did 59,000 damage from 2 targets with Ragefire. So, still a pretty decent talent. The issue with Ragefire came in when you had like tons and tons of mobs. You were able to kind of push Immolation Aura on all those things. Like, pretend there's like 6 more here. Push Immolation Aura on all these things and get the crit from hitting all these like 30, 20, 10 mobs. This large number of mobs. Build up this insane Ragefire pool where maybe you were dealing like, I don't know, 50,000, no, 120,000, 300,000 damage to like 30 targets. And then those really were the scenarios where that kind of damage would lead to an issue. You can see here, even on 3 targets, it's doing really good. What they did is they went in and they added this cap here so that it says that each time Immolation Aura deals damage, 50% of the damage dealt by up to 3 critical strikes is gathered as Ragefire. Now, I know there's a lot of discussion around about what that means. A lot of people are like, oh, well, that means that only like the first 3 to 5 ticks of Ragefire will actually matter because it only stores 3 crits. I'll admit, when I first read it, I was also confused. But essentially what happens, let's say you're fighting 4 mobs, right? You're going to fight these 3, and I'll put a little marker on them. We'll pretend there's a... Oh, wait, I can go over and... I'll be right back. We'll go over to the 4 target dummies in Desire Lore. Alright, so we're back here in Desire Lore with our 4 target dummies here. Now, let's say, hypothetically, that I were to push Immolation Aura right now, and we're going to look at the crits, right? So, let's say that on the first tick of Immolation Aura, I crit on Star and Diamond. In that scenario, nothing has changed. On the second crit, I crit on just Star. On the third, I crit on Moon and Square. In that scenario, everything's fine. However, let's say on the 4th crit of Immolation Aura, what happens is that I go through and I crit on all 4 of these things. So I crit on Diamond, I crit on Moon, Star, and Square. So in that scenario is where the the change to Ragefire would come in. Effectively, what would happen is that the first 3 crits, so the crits on Diamond, Star, and Moon, would be stored in the Ragefire pool, and the 4th crit on Square would be lost. So what this does effectively is it really lowers our ability to kind of take advantage of that insanely large uncapped AoE damage scenario. Which honestly I think is fine. Whenever you have those kind of giga uncapped scenarios, it is kind of a recipe for disaster and can get very scary for a lot of different scenarios, really. Like, look at Ragefire damage there. Whenever you have that thing, right? Whenever you're doing the uncapped AoE that scales with more targets and scales with more crit and scales with all these different tools, you do get scared of kind of what Blizzard can come do to kind of hit you with a nerf because of that, right? Like we had stuff like Unholy DK and BFA with their uncapped core dark scaling there. So we as a community were talking, we kind of didn't want, Demon Hunter to be hit undue nerfs because of this. So what this does now is it kind of limits that ability for Ragefire to hit all of these other targets and kind of just feed into that never-ending loop. Now, that's not to say Ragefire is bad anymore. I actually still think it will be nerfed again. In fact, Reels, the lead Demon Hunter dev, has mentioned that they're looking at nerfing it again and changing it again. So realistically, this new change does limit the big uncapped potential, but for most people, it's not really going to change much, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up an image. So this is a graph, a probability graph. I know a little bit of math. This is from Bees in the Demon Hunter Discord, so shout out to him. And what we're doing here is we're showing the chance of getting full value. So full Ragefire value would be critting on 3 different targets per tick at different target counts and different crit counts. So on the y-axis here, we can see the chance of getting a full Ragefire value, so the chance of critting on 3 different targets. And the x-axis is number of targets. Then our different graphs here are our different crit values, right? So blue is 20%, red is 26, orange is 30, and green is 36. These are hypothetical crit values that we would probably be getting to in Season 1, of course. So if you look, most dungeon pulls, realistically, are somewhere between 4 to 8 targets, which would be within the range here by the first little tick. So we can see there that even at 36% crit, so the highest crit, we only have a 25% chance per tick of getting the full Ragefire value. So what this means is that for most people, unless you're doing insanely large gigapulls, right, you're not going to feel that much of a difference from the damage going into Ragefire, right? So the critting thing on 3 things, basically what's going to happen if you have 30% crit, right? Like I have 25% crit right now, right? And that is being increased by my food buff and my file. I was testing them out. So I have 25% crit, right? So for me to get full value on Ragefire, I would have to roll 3 25% chances in a row. So I'd have to hit one mob, 25% crit, chance to crit, hit another one, 25% chance to crit, and hit a third one, 25% chance to crit. If I were to actually feel the nerf in Ragefire, not only would I have to hit those 3 crits, I'd have to hit one more crit. So you're doing 0.25 times 0.25 times, you're having a very low number of actually being affected by this change. Now, what I do think matters is the change with how this works with Burning Wound now. So because Burning Wound is capped at 3 targets now, right? So I have my 3 Burning Wounds out. If I were to crit on Star more than I'm going to crit on the other 2, oh, it changes, look at that. If I were to crit on a target that doesn't have Burning Wound on, while there are other targets nearby that do have Burning Wound, my overall Ragefire damage, of course, will be lower. But this was always kind of an issue, right? Just on RNG getting a crit chance on those things. However, there's now a little bit more of that RNG coming in with being able to actually crit on the targets that have Burning Wound and then actually needing for Ragefire to count those. But realistically, this isn't too big of a change. You're not really going to see any real difference to how Ragefire is being used or how Ragefire is affecting you with these new changes. All it's doing is preventing that really scary uncapped AoE quadratic scaling from all these just different target counts coming in that we've been talking about and we've been a little bit scared about in the past. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this changes again. Ragefire right now is still doing a good bit of damage. Reels has, as I mentioned, talked about tuning it down a little bit more. So we'll see how that turns out. But realistically, Ragefire is still fine. Havoc Demon Hunters have lost the ability to do that crazy uncapped AoE, but really, I don't think that's that big of a problem. So that's it for the video today. I'm just going to go over the Ragefire changes really quick, get you guys kind of up to speed on what's happening with this cool, interesting talent that we do have now. Sky is not falling. Ragefire is still really good and a really cool tool that we have. It will still probably do really good damage for you in your key scenarios as long as you have a decent amount of crit and targets are living, as well as them not nerfing it to the ground, which I don't think they will. I think they want this talent to be viable. But yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. We're pushing towards 1,000 subscribers, which is crazy to me. I've never thought this would ever happen in a million years. Comment down below what you think about this change. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And I really want to thank everybody for watching the content, and I'll see you guys next time.